Just because people aren't paying attention to something doesn't mean that it's not important. Let me illustrate my point by talking about one of the mechanics that keeps us alive. Think about gravity, a force that will keep us on the surface of the planet, and without that force we will be left spinning into space and everything would be just floating apart, and if it is missing the day, we will definitely notice it. However, we don't really think about it every single moment of life because it's doing its job. If something is doing its job, if something is fulfilling its purpose, we rarely pay any attention to it. Okay, but why bring this up? We live in a world where attention is kind of capitalized. Think of all of the different apps. You've got YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Twitter, all of these different type of social media platforms where attention is a great currency. And when somebody don't get attention, they feel a little bit sad, a little bit bad, because it seems like attention is this currency that assigns value to our lives. That's not necessarily the case. You see, just because people don't pay attention to something does not mean that it's not important. It doesn't mean that that thing does not have value. Let's talk about the air that we breathe. It's all around us, yet it barely captures our consciousness, or we barely pay attention to it unless it's polluted or scarce or we can't breathe or something like that. Does a lack of attention diminish its importance? No, it doesn't. Our very existence depends on air. Similarly, there are countless aspects of life that silently uphold our well-being, yet they go unnoticed because there is so much noise in our daily routines. Consider the unsung heroes in your life, the ones who work tirelessly behind the scenes without seeking recognition. They may not bask in the spotlight, but their contributions are invaluable. From the janitor who keeps an office clean to the farmer who cultivates our food, their roles are pivotal even if society barely acknowledges them. And you gotta admit, in an economy where attention is everything, it does sometimes feel a little bit bad when you don't get the attention that you think you deserve. But it's important to remember that just because something is unnoticed, it does not mean that it's not important. We're so influenced by everything in our daily life that wants our attention, and by everything in our daily life that can make us scream for attention, that often we don't realize that the most important things in life goes unnoticed. What do I want to say in this video? Number one, that if you don't necessarily receive tons of attention or recognition on social media or from your friends or whatever, know that many things that are crucial, that are pivotal, that are so important, barely receive any attention. Don't tie importance to the amount of attention that something gets. And number two, I also want to emphasize those that have a crucial impact in our lives. Think of the doctors, the nurses, the farmers, everybody that does not necessarily receive tons of attention. Think of how they are a crucial part of our society. And I kind of want to motivate you to just pay attention to them and to just acknowledge their existence, because it's wonderful the things that they do to keep our civilization alive. So how can we embrace the concept that attention does not necessarily dictate value? Well, number one will be to cultivate awareness. Train yourself to recognize the subtle yet significant impacts that things have on your life. Take a moment to appreciate that everyday miracles often go unnoticed. Number two is to shift your perspective. Challenge the notion that only visible achievements hold value. Consider the depth of character, integrity, and kindness. Qualities that may not gather attention, but are incredibly important. Number three, celebrate the unseen. Take time to acknowledge and express gratitude for the unseen forces that enrich your life. Whether it's a kind gesture from a stranger or the unwavering support of our loved ones, every act of kindness matters. And then number four, lead by example. Be the champion of the overlooked. Use your platform or whatever place you are on to shed a light on issues that deserve attention but that remain in the shadows. Remember that because something isn't in the spotlight doesn't mean that it lacks significance. Just because it's not in the limelight, just because it's not the star of the show, doesn't mean that it's not super important. And this goes for acts of kindness, for things that people do, but this also goes for people as well, for a person as well. Just because you as a person do not necessarily get all of the attention doesn't mean that you're not important. In fact, I want to end this video off by saying that you are important. You do matter, and you are a pivotal part of life. You might be doing something that enriches others' lives, that help them in a different way. You are part of the human experience. You are part of life. Never underestimate your importance, and never underestimate the impact that you can have. So let's end off this video by saying what we said in the start. Just because something does not get as much attention as something else doesn't mean that it's not important. Know that you hold importance, you are valid, and you are relevant. Alright, I hope that maybe motivated you today. If you like the video, maybe think of liking and subscribing, and I'll be seeing you next time. Remember, stay silly. Until next time, ciao. Thanks for watching.